everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I am your host, Saucy McFoodlefist, and today we are continuing the life and suffering of Sir Brante. In the last one, we made some tough decisions as a child, and we are going to continue making those decisions. Hello, chat. How are you doing? If you haven't watched the first episode of this, go onto my YouTube channel and watch the first episode. This is going to be episode 2. And I'm recording this live for YouTube, so just in case you're wondering about what that's all about, yeah, I'm recording this live for YouTube, so... You eye the little bundle in your father's arms with curiosity. Behind the many layers of swaddling clothes is your newborn baby brother. Mother is glowing and smiling with joy. Stefan and Gloria are also here, all excited. You promise yourself you're going to be the best big brother in the world. You'll never hit him. Oh no. The two of you will play together and tease Stefan together, and help Mother together, and go on so many adventures together. It feels so strange to be an older brother. Just the other day, you were the youngest in the family, but everything is different now. Thank you for looking forward to my performance. We have some tough decisions to make in this game, and if the chat wants to help make the decisions, I'm willing to take suggestions. So when the decisions come up, I will let you guys know. Your parents name your little brother Nathan, and Mother spends day and night by his side, and Nathan cries all the time, day and night. Mother barely gets any sleep. She is so worn out. She starts forgetting things. Like today, for instance, she forgot her knitting in the armchair in the sitting room. You'd better bring it back to her as soon as possible. You run to your mother's bedroom. You miss her so much. You walk in without saying hello and give her the knitting, but instead of gratitude, you get an ice-cold, exhausted stare. Nathan is also there, screaming all the time. Lydia, go away, Saucy, you're bothering me. She spits these words out through her teeth. You look at the brawling newborn. She can't even spare a minute of respite. Lydia, enough already. When are you going to stop? I just want some peace and quiet. Hey, live news cloud, how are you doing? Mother leaps across the room and starts shaking Nathan with malice in her eyes. His cries get even louder. She looks so tired from the never-ending screams. She seems to be within an inch of smashing him against the wall. Somebody has to do something. You are scared of your mother right now, but you fear for Nathan's life much more. Alright, chat, what do you want to do? Call for Father's help. You run to Father's study as fast as you can and ask him to calm her down. Redirect her anger to yourself. You try your best to bring her back to her senses. Snatch Nathan from her mother. You take Nathan away and run. So we can't do that because we don't have enough willpower. So we either redirect the anger or we call our father for help. Does anyone have any ideas? I'll give you about 30 seconds to decide. We're between these two options right here. I'm leaning towards redirecting her anger to myself. That's probably what I would do. Oh, and by the way, I'm bringing my gaming talent to Bigo today. Just in case you guys don't know, I'm streaming live on Twitch and on Bigo. and recording this for YouTube, so it's a triple threat. I'm not getting any answers from the chat, so let's redirect the anger towards ourselves. Mother keeps shaking Nathan violently, and you cannot stay away any longer. He is no longer bawling, he is shrieking. Lydia, just leave me alone. Thank you, Cindy and Nyla7 for the hearts. But then out comes your voice, so loud it drowns out their cries. No, it's not Nathan's fault, Mother. You're just tired. Please don't do anything to my little brother. If you have to punish somebody, punish me instead. He's too young. He won't understand. Your mother freezes and looks at you. Her eyes narrow to slits. Her stare is cold and full of pure wrath. So pure you cannot help but recoil in fear. Lydia, are you trying to teach me how to take care of a child? Are you giving me lessons on calming a newborn baby? You insolent, insipid, nagging know-it-all. It's time you learned your place. She puts Nathan on the bed sheets, then moves towards you. You step back, but a closed door blocks your way. She slaps you across the face. Your ears ring from the heavy blow, and your cheek burn from her wrath. You wince and close your eyes, expecting a second slap, but nothing comes. Nothing but Mother's heavy breath and Nathan's shrill cries. Then there is a knock at the door. You step aside. Father walks in. He looks at you, clutching a reddened cheek at a bawling baby. A mother, her eyes with rage and tears, her breath heavy and ragged. Robert, go to your room, son. I'll join you soon. You do as you're told, back to your room. You press your aching cheek against the cold window, hurt and dazed by what just happened. Soon enough, Nathan stops crying. You hear your father's heavy footsteps in the hallway. He comes into your room and sits on the bed next to you. Robert, son, please don't be angry with your mother. The twins know she wishes nobody any harm. This is a difficult time for her, but we will make it through it as a family. You stepped up to protect your little brother. You acted like a little nobleman today. I'm proud of you. Your mother and Nathan are resting now. How bad does it hurt? Thank you, ID 49272777 for the eyes heart emoji. I really appreciate that. You shake your head. Not bad, but your hand still aches to clutch the cheek. Father embraces you with a sorrowful smile and gingerly pats you on the head, and you press your forehead into his housecoat. Things grow calm now. The trouble has passed, and you are quietly happy. Determination +1. We're still spineless, but we're getting there. Year 1122. Your younger brother Nathan is born. Thank you, Remy, for the heart. I appreciate it. Year 1123. We're 5 years old now. Toy soldiers. You wake up to your father's touch on your shoulder. He is finally back home after a long trip. Robert, Saucy, today is your special day, the day where you begin your studies. Now teachers will be coming to our home to teach you, and you must do everything they say. Be diligent in your studies, and you will grow closer to a nobleman's lot. And since you must remember this day, a present is in order. Lydia, get our little schoolboy dressed. I am taking him to the market district. Stefan wants to come with you too, but Father shushes him sternly. This is your day. Your elder brother is hurt to hear this, but stays quiet. An open carriage takes the two of you through the dusty, noisy streets, a pleasant wind tussling your hair. Your city is called Anazat, and you already know it is one of the largest cities in the entire empire. There is a big shadow on the street. It comes from the white foliage of an enormous tree that spreads its branches all above the city. Robert. My son, did you know that the silver tree grew from the blood of our gods, our own disciples? It has been growing here for hundreds of years, right in our city. It cannot be damaged or burned. Not even the clergy know why. The carriage comes to a halt by a small shop next to a city square. You run there and freeze by the stalls in excitement. The shop is packed with dolls and figurines and toys. You've never seen so many at once before. Have you chosen your present yet? Father asks. You want the Holy Order set, which includes several figurines of the Empire's greatest warriors of all time. You rattle off everything you know about the Holy Order. They were the ones who aided the Emperor's own forces in seizing the province of Magra and storming the city. That's how we joined the Empire. Father nods in approval. Very well, Robert, very well. War isn't your only lot for now, but maybe these toy soldiers will teach you to think like a general. We will lead them into battle and study military strategy. Go ahead, take your present. Having said this, Father turns away to examine the books. You run to the box of toy soldiers, delirious with excitement, but there is a fancy-dressed boy in your way. He is about to take your warriors for himself. He elbows you aside and reaches for the box. Anger overcomes you and you push him from behind. Your opponent falls to the floor. The rich boy screams so loudly everybody in the shop hears it. He hit me! He hit me! A tall man looms over you. This is the boy's father. And then you feel your own father's hands on your shoulders. Robert, what happened? You press against Father, your mind more at ease now. Excuse me. He will protect you. Yes, you shoved the boy to the floor in front of everyone, but he tried to make your present for himself. Father turns around to face him when he hears these words. Is it true, Saucy? Did you strike the son of a nobleman? Okay, deny your guilt. You quietly say that it was an accident. Tell him the truth. You tell Father that the boy you repaid the impudent boy in kind, or admit your guilt. You step between the adults and say that it was your fault. I'm gonna tell him the truth. It isn't fair to blame you without letting you speak too. You didn't want to shove the stupid boy. He was the one who shoved you first. But the angry nobleman, the boy's father, will not let you finish. Nobody cares a whit for your so-called truth, little lowborn. The law is the law and your punishment is due. Your father nods in agreement to these words, no matter how sad they make him. They lead you and the nobleman's son out of the shop. You are told to bow to him and show humility. A bad feeling sends a shiver down your spine. With a satisfied grin on his face, the boy swings his arm and slaps you on the cheek. He strikes you again and again. Robert, enough. He got what he deserved. We're leaving. Get out of our way. Your head is swimming from the heavy blows. You return to your senses back in your bed, with the servants treating your face. Father stays by your side all day. The morning after, you find a little box on your bed with 10 soldiers of the Holy Order inside. You paid dearly for your stubbornness. Determination +1. Alright. That's something, right? At least we didn't lose any points. Year 1124. Year 1124, summer, the family dinner. Today, Father ordered the dinner to be brought out into the yard. For the first time in months, he's home, outside the confines of his always locked study. He spent the entire day playing with Nathan and you, discussing various matters with Stefan, now an adolescent, and walking in the garden. And now a dinner under the open sky. Your entire family gathers together. Your father at the head of the table, smiling. He asks each of you about your studies. Nathan climbs up on his knee and recites a counting rhyme in a funny sing-song voice. Stefan mentions that his fencing teacher praised his accomplishments. He rises from the table together with father to show his skill in a practice duel. Next comes Gloria's return. She stands on her chair and recites a lengthy prayer by heart. Mother showers your sister with praise. Father chuckles quietly, hiding a smile in his mustache. When your turn comes, you recite all the ranks in the Legion, from common soldier to high commander. Stefan listens to you with a skeptical look on his face. Night slowly falls, but the servants ensure that the yard is well illuminated. You don't feel cold in the dust tonight. It feels good, yet so important. All of you finally together, sitting at the same table. No fighting, just smiles. No arguing, just pleasant small talk. Then a servant approaches father with a letter in his hand. He reads it in the dim light. Each line gradually washes the smile off father's face until only a stone mask remains. Mother looks at father with an unspoken question in her eyes. Robert, Gregor Brante is coming back to Anazot. He is the head of the family, my father. Year 1124, grandfather's return. Your grandfather, Gregor Brante, returned to the family home from the capital. The intrusion. Ever since the news of grandfather's impending arrival, there's not been a single day when the house has not been cleaned or decorated. Your parents anxiously make sure everything is in order. They tell you to wash your face and hands and walk after walks and scold you for leaving books on the floor. They tell Gloria she'll be flogged if she is ever seen hiding in the attic. They make Stefan stay in his room. Even baby Nathan gets in trouble. Everyone is on edge. Then, one day, grandfather arrives. It is a grim day, so hot your neck is sticky with sweat. Father, mother, Stefan, Gloria, you, and Nathan. The entire Brante family stands on the porch in the front of the house. The house servants lined up behind you. The carriage arrives, and out steps a tall, jaunt-looking man with a heavy walking stick and a heavier gaze. You cringe instinctively. Robert, good health to you, father. Children, greet your grandfather as you have been taught. Gregor, still trying to look like a real nobleman, are you? You can't fool me, Robert. I was the first of the Brante family to be ennobled by the mantle. I'm the only one who remembers how to bear this burden properly. Okay, so we have daddy issues so far. How is everyone on board with these daddy issues? Robert, I live honorably by my lot. Gregor, your marriage to that low-born wench cut us off from ever becoming nobles of the sword. Your progeny could have been born bearing noble blood. Robert, father, I beg you, this is not the place. Grandfather eyes him with scorn and walks into the house, the entire family following close behind him. Gregor, I have been away far too long. The entire house is a mess. This is an insult. How can you live in such a pigsty, Robert? The servants have grown far too lazy, all thanks to your commoner of a wife. I warned you, did I not? And yet you did as you saw fit. And the children, what do they know of tradition and honor? Or honor? Robert, they are being raised in a virtuous family, father. Gregor, and now you're speaking like a lowborn who's content to live in humility. Twins willing, now that I am here, this will not happen again. I am taking your oldest son to the capital. I see you cannot provide Stefan with a proper education, so I will correct your mistake. Your brother's fate has been decided just like that. Father does not object. He orders the servants to prepare Stefan for the journey. Stefan freezes in place, glancing at grandfather and father again and again. The latter puts a hand on his shoulder reassuringly. Grandfather's lips are a tight line, white with contempt. The house is examined, room after room. Everything grandfather sees is showered with scorn. He scoffs at a crease on a blanket in Nathan's crib in mother's bedroom. He mocks Gloria's knitting in her room. The door to your room is next. Gregor, what is this? Robert, 10 soldiers in your younger son's room? He was born a commoner. I won't have him daydreaming of battle. Grandfather seizes the box containing the 10 warriors of the Holy Order. Your father stays silent. Anger and fear boil within you. This is your big present from your first day of your studies. It means so much to you. But what if he's right? What if you need to prove your right to command the toy soldiers first? Grandfather shakes his head in disapproval and shoves the toy box into the roaring fireplace. If you wait too long, they will melt into flames. Okay, do we burst into tears? You start crying, overwhelmed by the horrible sight. Strike grandfather. Driven mad by anger and injustice, you kick grandfather in the leg. I'm not going to kick grandfather in the leg. I'm gonna burst into tears because that's my only option pretty much at this point. You watch your beloved present, the token of your father's love and care, burn before your eyes. The tin melts, the unpleasant smell of burning paint fills the air. For a moment you cannot breathe. You see no reason to maintain your composure. The tears start flowing, burning your cheeks and staining your shirt. You hide your face in your hands. And then you hear grandfather's voice dripping with disdain. So, the boy is a weakling, just like his mother. Relations -1 with Gregor. I knew I should have kicked him. Oh well. Willpower -5. Uh-oh. That's not good. Year 1124, fall, the master of the house. Soon grandfather leaves. Your elder brother Stefan goes with him. From that day on, father hired teachers tend to you alone. They bore you with their monotonous lectures on writing, counting, and the way of life in the blessed Archnean Empire. You often distract yourself from their instruction by playing with your younger brother Nathan. Your home grows quiet without your elder brother. Too quiet. Weeks later, your family receives a letter from Stefan. Grandfather has sent him to boarding school for nobles. He is now studying hard in preparation for his service as a nobleman. Stefan, the rules here are way too strict. You can't even sneeze without the teacher's permission. But I've been studying with my peers. We're learning how to live as nobles in a noble society. We're also learning the art of swordplay. That's my favorite part. With Stefan now at boarding school, grandfather arrives once more, this time to live in your home. The only good thing is that he often has urgent business in Eterna, the capital of the empire, and has to travel there. One day you ask your mother where he lived before, in Eterna, she says, but now his place is here. Each time your grandfather returns, he gives the servants new orders. Your home is not always busy with repairs. The servants are redecorating your grandfather's chambers, including his library and sitting room. Sometimes, father tries to gently talk him out of this. Why subject the house to constant reconstruction? Grandfather's answer is always the same. Gregor, this home is mine, and I will live here as befits a man of nobility. Great, he's coming to live with us. An illustrious guest. Some days grandfather stays at home, and on those days you try your best to stay out of his sight, but there's no way you can avoid family breakfast. The food is there, but you cannot bring yourself to eat it. Mother's eyes are red and swollen. She has been crying all night again. Grandfather sits at the head of the table, and nobody used to sit before. Where nobody used to sit before. Robert, it is high time your youngest sons underwent their sacraments. Lydia, Sir Brant, please, let them live free of the lot for a while longer. They are but... Gregor, shut your mouth. Robert, the wife of yours is impertinent enough to interrupt me. If this ever happens again, she'll be eating her gruel with the servants in the kitchen where she belongs. This time you considered a real marriage, Robert, one to a woman of the proper station. Gloria drops her fork. Grandfather shoots her a scathing look. A tear rolls down Mother's cheek. Father does not look away from the plate. His hands clenched. His hands clenched into a fist. Gregor, Baroness Ladar is such a woman. She is a comely widow and a fine match. She is suing for her inheritance right now and could use a proper support and a husband. You can keep your lowborn Lydia around if you would like. Servant, mistress, I don't care. I will not do that, Father. I am the head of this family. Gregor, I'm the head of this family, and the family's standing took a severe blow after you married that commoner. It is unthinkable. How could you give up the memory of the beautiful Amelia L. Bourne for this lowly woman and that bastard child of hers? But now you have a chance to set things right. Don't disappoint me. Father nods curtly, trying not to look in Mother's direction. Robert, Father, I wish to see Stefan. Gregor, if I find your conduct in Baroness's presence satisfactory enough, then you may see him. She is coming for a visit tomorrow. Be prepared. Grandfather wipes his mouth with his napkin, throws it onto his plate, and leaves. Mother's lips move silently. Nobody says a word. Then Father stands up and orders you and the other children back to your rooms. He needs to speak to Mother in private. Father comes to your room before bedtime. He sits on the edge of the bed and adjusts a crease on the woolen blanket. He distanced himself from you after Stefan's departure, so you're not used to such attention from him. In the candlelight, you can see his face in the dark. There is a sour expression on it. Robert, my son, Baroness Emma L. Ladar, will be visiting us tomorrow. Please be polite and treat her with respect. Nathan will do as you do. I want this dinner to be as immaculate as possible. Don't let me down. On the next day, Mother starts dressing you and Nathan for the coming dinner. You see red all around her eyes. She's been crying, and for a long time. It hurts just to look at her. Nathan starts whining quietly. You and Nathan are dressed in new doublets and tousled hair brushed into shape. Gloria is told to stay in her room. Father appears to be wearing his best suit. Mother is in a humble brown dress, looking pale. Grandfather has an uncharacteristically contented look about him. You hear the sound of wheels and hooves against the cobbles in the yard. Then a pair of dainty heels come clacking. The antechamber is completely quiet and still, fearing Grandfather's observant eye. The door opens. You see your guest, a beautiful, dark-haired woman dressed in an elegant deep blue. Father takes the hand of Lady L. Ladar and kisses it, showering her in compliments. Grandfather's face is beaming in her presence. No one even bothers to introduce Mother. Gregor, Baroness, allow me to introduce you to Robert's sons, Saucy and Nathan Brant. Frankly, it's his eldest Stefan who deserves the most attention, but currently he is studying in Eterna with other young noblemen like himself. It is my hope that his younger sons will also make me proud one day. Grandfather's eyes you with a probing look. How will you act in front of the Baroness? Will you accept her here next to your mother, your father's rightful wife? Okay, greet the Baroness politely. You approach Baroness El Ladar and kiss her hand, following Father's example. You take Mother's arm and leave the hall by her side. I'm gonna greet the Baroness. Sorry, Mom. You weren't very nice to me earlier, and this is payback for, what? Oh, wait. Maintain your composure. I can do this. You greet Lady Eladar with restraint and avoid getting too involved in the event. Let's do that. You mutter a proper greeting to Lady Eladar and bow your head. Out of the corner of your eye, you see your mother walking upstairs to her room. You, on the other hand, follow father and grandfather obediently into the sitting room. Grandfather and Baroness Eladar engage in small talk over dinner. They discuss her inheritance, litigation, and he advises her like the judge he is. Father, who is mostly silent, only getting in a word or two. The morning after, Father leaves for Eterna and Grandfather to visit Stefan. He returns from the capital in a quiet rage. You overhear your parents talking. Apparently, Grandfather has already poisoned Stefan's mind against him, and he greeted Father with cold hostility. The name Baroness Eladar is never mentioned in the house again. Willpower -5. Oh, that's not good. You're 1125, 7 years old. The kaleidoscope. Your father now checks on your studies often and nitpicks you for sitting or eating or speaking in an incorrect fashion. Once he becomes so annoyed, he says that he wishes that Stefan had been the only one to stay at home instead of you. You never expected to hear those words from your father, of all people. Grandfather's trip to the capital took longer than expected. It feels lighter around the house without his presence. You allow yourself a little change of scenery. Instead of your room, you now busy yourself with reading and calculations in the sitting room across from the open door to the yard. Gloria has joined you today. She has already helped you progress through several complex passages in the book. Right now, she seems preoccupied with a strange tube. Aren't you hurt by the way Grandfather treats you, you ask? Gloria shrugs. Gloria, Grandfather always says they should get rid of me. I'm used to it now. He hurts you a lot worse because you're closer to him. I just have to stay out of his way, that's it. She shows you the strange tube she has been holding all day. Gloria, look, it's a kaleidoscope. I got it as a gift. Want to see inside? Excited by the idea, you close the book and peer into the tiny hole on one end of the tube. Your eyes see a multitude of intricate patterns. Each turn of the tube reveals a new web of interwoven colors. They mesmerize you. The kaleidoscope turns the fire burning in the fireplace into a cavalry made of flames. You are riding at the front of the fiery horsemen, ready to face the enemy. Grandfather's face emerges from the intersecting lines, and you swing the kaleidoscope like a sword, cutting it in half. Now you look at the blue sky through the window. The pattern is unending, secretive, calm, and peaceful, just like your father's smile before Grandfather's invasion. The deep blue gives way to scattering of gold radiating gentle warmth like Mother's arms. This fleeting beauty too soon gives way to a hypnotic new pattern. Again and again, you see your family and these interconnecting figures as they come back together and break apart. And in the middle of this golden glow, you see Gloria's green eyes gazing at you observantly. Your sister left you long ago. The books are abandoned and time slips away unchecked, but you are still busy peering into the kaleidoscope. Order emerges from the chaos before your eyes again and again. You cannot preserve it, no matter how hard you try. You are caught in an inner conflict. There is so much that can be done with this kaleidoscope. Should you take it apart, or ask Gloria how it works, or keep enjoying the patterns as it shows you? But you still have lessons to do today. Take the kaleidoscope apart. You start taking the toy apart to learn the secrets of the never-ending patterns. Keep looking through the kaleidoscope. You keep playing with the kaleidoscope as visions of the warriors bathed in glory reveal themselves before you. You return to your studies. You choose to finish your studies first and share the discoveries with Gloria later. I'm going to return to my studies because that's what a good nobleman would do. You put the kaleidoscope away and return to studying the book. There is so much for you to discuss with Gloria. You cannot help but wonder, what things did she see there? But first, your lessons. When Father walks in, he sees you hard at work over the book. He chuckles in approval, then spots the kaleidoscope on the table next to you. He puts the toy to his eye, then freezes still for a moment. It takes him an effort to put it back down. Then he praises you for being diligent and leaves. When today's section of the book is finished, you take the toy upstairs to your sister's room and tell her what you saw in it. Gloria smiles, knowing what you felt. Gloria: I once saw a ballroom full of dancers. I watched it for an entire hour. My hands even got sore. You spend a long time with your sister discussing the kaleidoscope figures, and you feel a strong connection to her. The toy has brought you closer together, made you interconnected, just like the lines and figures in its colorful eye. Determination +1, willpower -5. I'm losing my willpower, guys. What do I do? Sweet temptation. Grandfather's visits are no longer a cause for fear and panic in the house. He has become something you are used to, something nagging yet not unordinary, like a splinter or a stain on your trousers. The tension still remains, however. Sir Gregor's disdain for everyone in the house is so palpable, it almost stings for real. Your lessons with the tutor are done for today. You are walking down the stairs when you spot Gloria peeping into the sitting room through a slightly open door. You sneak up on your sister and tap her lightly on the shoulder. She is startled. Gloria: Oh, it's you, Saucy. Look, Sir Gregor's eating something. Grandfather is sitting on the sofa, flipping through a book with one hand and reaching for a glass bowl with another now and then. Inside the bowl you see candied fruit, a sweet confectionery forbidden to the common estate, like all sweet things. Yet Grandfather's face shows no pleasure as he keeps consuming the high-born treats. The clock strikes 3. Grandfather rises from his seat, puts away the bowl on a shelf, and leaves for the yard. He always takes a walk in the city at this time. Gloria nudges you with her elbow and looks at the candy bowl when you look at her. The first emotion you feel is fear, but next comes curiosity, and it is stronger. Stefan used to boast about the candied fruit tastes incredible, and now you have a perfect opportunity to try it. You try the candied fruit first. The sugar starts to melt as soon as you put it on your tongue. It is so sweet. You've never eaten anything as good as this. You take the whole bowl off the shelf and give it to your sister. She takes a fruit and brings it to her mouth, carefully, like a rare treasure. There is a thumping on the stairs, footsteps accompanied by the knocking of a walking stick. You have no idea why, but Grandfather is back. You quickly hide behind the sofa and pull Gloria after you, but she is frozen in place with the bowl in her hands. The door opens. Grandfather's menacing figure advances on Gloria. His hand seizes her arm. Gregor: You squalid, ungrateful, low-born child. How dare you bite the hand that feeds you? You and your trollop of a mother would be sleeping in a ditch if it weren't for my spineless son. The sweet and pleasant things in life are for the noble estate, not for the likes of you. Did you forget your lot? His hand swings and hits Gloria on the cheek. She falls to the floor right next to where you are hidden. Her fingers glisten with warm melted sugar that brought you here. Grandfather advances again, his walking stick ready. but then he sees you huddling behind the armchair. Gloria, please don't hurt him, Sir Brant. This is all my fault. He tried to stop me. You can already see a bruise on Gloria's cheek. This is only the beginning of her punishment. Gloria's caught red-handed. Unlike you, you can still avoid punishment. What is it then, Milksop? Did you try the sugar too? Or were you just trying to stop this piece of filth like she says? I'm going to tell the truth. You tell the truth. You did eat the candied fruit with your sister. Lie. You convinced grandfather that you were trying to stop Gloria. I'm gonna tell the truth. You stand up and tell the truth, even though it takes you an effort to do it. You actually ate a candied fruit, but Gloria only touched it. You hope this will help your sister avoid punishment. You are quickly proven wrong. Brant's father's face is red with rage. He strikes you both with his walking stick, blow for blow. He keeps hitting you until he grows tired, and then he leaves you where you are. Soon enough, Mother comes in to find the two of you on the floor, too afraid to move. She shakes her head in disappointment. You are badly hurt and covered in bruises, yet she still forces you to kneel and recite the precepts of the lot, and how important it is to follow them. Then you stand before father and grandfather and swear never to take things that do not belong to you again. Relationships +1. Total -1. Indifference. Perception +1. We're inquisitive. Willpower -5. We're at 0 willpower right now. We were doing so good in the willpower department up until recently. The event is a consequence of your previous actions. Conditions met. Perception less than 4. The ant farm. Your younger brother Nathan is growing. Mother spends more time with the rest of your family now. You help her and play with your brother and take care of him when she asks. You often go to your mother's room to sit at the foot of her bed after Nathan falls asleep. She reads you sacred books and asks you about the things you learned that day. During these moments, you see the world through her eyes as well. One day, the large door of your room opens and she brings a large box covered with a piece of cloth. It is rare for you to see her so overjoyed. She sets the box on the floor and removes the cloth. The box under the cloth is made of glass and has a wooden case. Inside you see a layer of earth shaped into carefully crafted passages, and these passages are full of hard-working ants. Lydia. Saucy, this is my gift to you, an ant farm. It's a little world in a small box. We can watch them through the glass. Look, this is the queen ant. She is the reason all these little ants were born. You sit by the box together. You hold your breath as you watch the ant colony at work. There turns out to be a method to the ants' chaotic movements. Every single one of them has a task to perform. Some of them have larger mandibles. They are the protectors of the colony. They can draw blood from your finger. Excuse me. Others work all around the colony, repairing the walls and clearing any debris from the passages. There are also workers who collect food you put in a special tray, leaves, bits of meat, maggots, and bring it to the rest of the colony. You take a worker ant and put it right next to the food. However, the insect has no interest in it. It starts circling around the tray aimlessly. Mother takes the stray ant and puts it back where it belongs. Lydia, why did you do that, my son? The ants cannot do what they weren't born to do. Each of them was born for their own job. You shake your head slowly. If only the ants could do whatever you wanted them to. This is your gift now, so they belong to you. Or maybe Mother's presence is the reason they won't obey you. keep playing with Mother. You offer to go outside together and find some bugs to feed the ants. Play by yourself. You ask your mother to leave you alone. I'm gonna play by myself. You move away from your mother and pull the glass box towards yourself. She looks at you in surprise, but she gave it to you. It'll be easier to learn about the ants on your own. Mother sighs and stands back up. Lydia, very well, I understand. You want to find your own answers. You've grown up so quickly, my son. The door creaks quietly as it closes, and you are left to your own devices. You spend a long time watching the ants at work, and then you decide to go outside and find them some bugs to feed on. Once your haul is in the tray, you note which bugs they drag away and which they leave untouched. Day after day, you keep a tray full of food, provide the insects with plenty of water, and remove dead ants from the farm. Your tiny subjects still refuse to change their peculiar ways. It is just as Mother said, the ant farm is exactly like the world we live in. The ants will never know that you are there. Okay, unity -1 equals 5. Let's continue. Inquisitive +1. Okay, that's good to know. Insight, an event has happened. Perception >4, play with the ants. You experience an insight when your mother tells you about the ways of the world and the lots of its inhabitants. The Sacrament. Father and Mother have been focused on Nathan and you since early morning. Instead of breakfast, you were told to say your prayers and wash your hands and faces and get dressed in plain white shirts. Today is the day of your sacrament. Nathan. Mother, I want to go play in the yard. Lydia. No playing today. You and Saucy are big boys now. It's time for you both to have your first sacrament. No one can live without a lot. I don't want a lot, says Nathan. Robert. Be quiet and listen. You were born commoners, so you must accept a low-born lot before the twins. When you grow up, you will get your chance to earn a noble lot. Father and Mother take you in the carriage. Nathan is hungry. He starts whining. Grandfather is the last to get in the carriage. His eyes are on you and your brother looking for every fault. Soon the carriage is moving along the streets of Anazat. Slowly and solemnly, one more turn and you see colossal white building marked by 2 massive pillars. For the first time in your life, you are to enter the Church of the Twin Gods. Thank you ID 7126744747 for the heart. I really appreciate it. You enter the gate and walk under the splendorous dome of the church. The church hall is divided into 2 halves. They are drastically different from one another. The floor on one side is rough and jagged and covered in dry brown spots, but the floor on the other side is made of smooth marble. The commoners kneel on the jagged floor, and the well-dressed nobles and their families sit on pews. Father and grandfather leave you to sit on one of the nobles' pews. Mother walks to the rough stone of the commoner's side, gets down on her knees. You see her wince in pain, for the lowborn estate shall suffer in the house of faith. The church acolytes surround you and lead you to the altar, where you and other children will take your sacrament this day. Before you stands a tall priest dressed in black, with a sword in one hand and a hefty whip in the other. Nathan's whining grows louder. He dislikes this place. He is scared. You remain quiet, but your stomach roils in an uneasy anticipation. The first child to take the sacrament is a jaunty little boy from a family of nobles. The priest extends the sword before him and recites the words of the lot. From this day forth he will fight and rule and pursue the arts, his mind now forever free from the throes of suffering, for he now belongs to the noble lot. The boy proudly touches the flat of the blade with his lips. Nathan is next to receive the sacrament. He suddenly snaps out of his fearful trance and tries to break free, but the acolyte pulls him towards the altar and throws him on the jagged floor on the lowborn side. The sharp edge bites into Nathan's knees as he lands, spraying drops of red around him. I don't want to, Saucy. Why do they have to whip me? What did I do? You try to break free and run to Nathan's side. You want to give him courage and protect him, but the acolyte's grip on you is too firm. You feel utterly helpless. Your little brother has to face the world all by himself. The priest starts reciting the words of the lot as he swings the lash over Nathan's shoulders. From this day forth, Nathan, thou shalt endure and work and suffer. Thou shalt be ardent in the labor of humble and obedience to thy rulers. And now thy first true suffering, which thou must accept with gratitude. The lash cracks. It strikes his right shoulder. It strikes his left shoulder. The blows are so powerful that Nathan falls to the floor. The priest tells him to rise. He has received his lot. Nathan gets on his feet and drags himself towards Mother, his knees torn and bloodied, his spirit broken. It's your turn. Your feet will not move. You can barely muster enough strength to walk to the altar. You get down on your knees and feel the sharp stones below, so sharp your clothing cannot protect you. Your skin begins to burn. The acolyte forces your head down, and you feel the lash being drawn above you, ready to strike. The priest's words for you now. This is thy sacrament. Thou shalt work and endure and suffer. Thou art to receive the first true suffering by the sacred lash. Dost thou accept thy lot? Accept it? You humbly accept the commoner's lot? You catch the lash. You catch the lash before it strikes your shoulders. Kiss the sword. You defy the rite of the sacrament and kiss the priest's sword. I'm going to accept my lot. The moment before the lash reaches you stretches out into eternity. Its sound approaches you slowly as it slices through the air. The whip cracks. It strikes you on the right shoulder. The lash is so heavy, it bends you back and forces you to the floor. The lash cracks again. It hits you on the left shoulder. There's blood running down your back. Rise now, commoner, the priest tells you. You stand. Everything looks blurry. You can barely walk on the sharp floor. Mother takes your hand and leads you away from the altar. There is agony, but there is also unfathomable tranquility. This is right. This is what you deserve. This is how it should be. This is the way of the world and its laws. From this day forth, you will accept all suffering in life with humility and patience, for you are a commoner. Determination -1, perception +1. Alright. The sacrament, year 1125. You have taken your first sacrament and received the commoner's lot. And alright, we are going to end. Oh, wait, hold on, not yet. Sorry, I gotta finish this up. The mark left on you by the sacrament takes a long time to heal. Mother says it is a reminder of your lot, suffering and sufferance, pain and patience. Gloria shows you the mark of the lash on your shoulder one day. It will never disappear. You are a commoner now. This is the lot you were born into. But Father keeps telling you to study hard so you may earn a different lot and become a noble of the mantle. You recall the past with warm sadness, when Stefan still lived with you, or when he wrote to you for a short time after he left. Now he thinks it beneath him to write to a commoner in his family. Mother didn't lock herself in the bedroom as often back then. This changed shortly before Nathan was born. But most importantly, you missed the time before the terrifying figure of your grandfather was constantly looming over you. You learned the true power of the lot only after the head of the family arrival. In grandfather's eyes, no commoner deserves to be treated with kindness. Is this just him, or is it the way of the entire world? The very thought makes you queasy. You are older now, and what's more, you are an elder brother now. You've learned how to care about someone else, how to teach and protect. Soon you are a small boy no longer. As the days pass, play gradually gives way to laborious study. Now your choices will decide your place in the bizarre and ruthless world of adulthood. Your childhood years are over. End of Chapter 1, Childhood. Alright, we are going to end the episode off here. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, or don't. I don't give a shit, and I'll see you all in the next one. And, goodbye everyone.